Sir, you can continue the session, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi guys, good evening. Let's get started for today's session. Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen? Already. Thanks for confirming. Yeah. So yesterday we started with MongoDB, how to install MongoDB and how to query basic commands like creating collection, how to insert the data, deleting a data, updating a data, and other things. Okay. So today, for the last session for your MongoDB, we will see some classes and how what is the projection, limiting, and other things. Okay. So let's get started. And yesterday, I missed to update you something like this, like find one and update. Okay. Go here. So what is the difference between find one and update one? So update one will return a summary, like how many records has. It will just give you the count. But find one and update will give you the response of the particular record. For example, if you update this particular record like 22, user ID 22 and title to some other things, okay, it will retrieve that current record. Okay, so there are two ways to fetch the record. One is by default, it will return the record that you modified, okay, so that you updated, okay. So the old data, okay, for example, user ID, find on update. Yesterday we had this thing, right? So I'm going to update the 22 here, user ID 22, and title to some other, okay. So if I do this, so it will return the old record, okay. So basically it will return the old record, but it will it will update in the database. Okay, so it will get updated in the collection. But if you want to retrieve the updated record, okay, so I told you yesterday, right? So there is a third parameter that find on and update accepts. Okay, so that particular thing is something called return new document. Okay, so this is the flag that you need to add. Okay, so if you do false, what will happen? It will return the old record. If you want to return the new document that is updated, you need to give something called true. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'm updating GUI on GUI 2. So currently it's GUI 1 to 3. I'm going to update it to GUI. Okay, so if I run this, see, now I'm getting the updated record. Okay, so previously, if you don't use this, it will retrieve only the record that is before updating. Okay, but now if you add a flag like return new document equal to true, so basic JavaScript object, if you add a true here, it will retrieve the updated record. Okay, clear? So this is what I want to yesterday verify it. Okay, so you need to add a flag here. So the same command. So retrieve old doc, the same document, so same way. If you add the last parameter, return new document to true, it will update single doc and retrieve updated doc. Okay, clear on this? Clear on the find on the update part? So yesterday this alone is pending. So I just verified this particular property. So it uses something called return new document. Okay, clear? Can you move on to the today's topic? All right. Okay. So now the topic for today is, so we have something called class. So we saw class in MySQL, right? So what is a class? So there will be a basic query. If you want to add some condition, limiting, sorting, and those things, those all come under class. Okay. So here we saw, right, something like where condition and or not, order by, and other things. See, these things, everything comes under your class section. Okay. So same way here, your limit and skip, everything comes under your class, sort, and everything comes under your class. Okay, so let's get started. First thing is, I'm going to show you how to apply where condition. Okay, so yesterday we saw, right? So for example, find one update will take something like this. This is a where condition where user ID equal to 22, update title equal to Google. Okay, so whatever the function that you take, it can be like update one or find one or find. Okay, the first parameter is nothing but the condition. Okay, so let's go here. So this is our record. We just had a find condition. Okay, so find a function. It is going to retrieve some data. If you want to apply some where condition, so go here. For example, if you want to fetch data that is specific to user ID equal to 10, okay, you can go here and mention user ID equal to 10. Just give a minute. Okay, so user ID equal to 10. Just give a minute, someone else. So yeah, so if you add ID equal to 10, so these four records will be, yeah, will be listing now. So if I run this, so see, that particular record is coming here. So user ID equal to 10, and it will just print all the records that are specific to user ID equal to 10. Okay. Suppose if you want to have and condition, so this is something like select star from posts where user ID equal to 10. So this is the equivalent query with your MySQL. Select start from post where user ID equal to 10. Okay. Suppose if you want to have and condition, so for example, and we can have something like okay, I will have this condition, and title equal to, that is going to match this. Okay, so user ID equal to 10 and title is going to be this. Okay, so only this particular record should come. Okay, so how can I do that? Same way, just add one more property, title colon, and just add the condition. Okay, so db.post.find, okay, find all the posts in your database. Okay, so where user ID equal to 10 and my title equal to something like this. Okay, so if you run this, only that particular record will be coming. Okay, so that is all, that is about your where condition. Clear on this? So where and having you a and condition. Okay, clear? Already. Okay, I will explain you. Just give a minute. I'll go with, I will just come with order. So yeah, so now we have implemented our and condition. Okay, so we just do that. So now let's move on to the next thing. For example, so here, what I'll do is I'll remove these things. I'm just querying it. So here, what I'm going to do is, suppose you want to query the documents, okay, that has user ID greater than 10. Okay, so you have greater than 10. Okay, so how can I do that here? Okay, so the same way, how can I do that here? So this is going to be your JSON, right? How can I do that? So user ID. So if equal to 10, what you will do? You will just give the property directly, right? But if you want to have less than or equal, less than or greater than or whatever thing like greater than equal to, less than or equal to, whatever the thing here, okay, you need to add a property call. So see, an object that takes again an object here, okay. So if it is less than, you need to use lt, okay. So lt, or if you want to use get greater than, okay, you need to use something called 10, okay, something like this. So this is exactly same as like this, okay. So fetch or find all the posts that has used to this condition, okay. So if greater than 10 means this record, and this record should be listed here, right? So see, only that particular record is displayed, okay. The same applies to your less than or less than equal to. For example, if you want to use greater than equal to, just add GTE. So if you do this, so greater than equal to, so 10 and greater than 10. Okay, so 10 and greater than 10, and everything is displayed here. And same applies to your less than equal to. So suppose if you want to have less than 22 or 23, okay, okay, I will have 22. So less than equal to 10. So what it means, 22, 10. Okay, so these records should only be listed, not your 23 record. Okay, so see, so the same condition is less than. Okay, suppose if you want to have only less than, not the equal to, you can have LT. Okay, so this is the queries. So you can use these things: less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to. Okay, so obviously you need to know this. What is this? So it's going to be not equal to. Okay, for example, if you want to have all the user ID that is not equal to 10, okay, so you can have this. So except not 10, everything will be displayed. Okay, so that is the thing with your not equal to. Okay, so this is what we saw here. Okay, so here what we had is, in our MySQL, what we had is we will directly write queries greater than equal to, less than equal to, and less than, okay, and not equal to, and we'll have something called equal to, okay. So these are all the conditions that we had in our uh, MySQL. Okay, so here is entire different, okay, because this is a JavaScript object, right? So it should be an object format. You cannot directly give something like this. Okay, so this is not a proper JavaScript format. So what is the JavaScript object format? It should be a key value pair. Okay, so you cannot use greater than or other things. Okay, that's why it takes another object as an input, something like not equal to 10. Okay, same way less than equal to, if you want to have LT, greater than equal to, and other things. Okay, so clear on this? Clear on this so far? Can everyone confirm? Alrighty. Okay. So now let's move on to the next condition. Okay. So suppose if you want to take multiple values. So for example, user ID in. Okay. So we had this inquiry, right? So in something like 22 and 23. Okay. So only user IDs with 22 and 23 should be listed. Okay, so multiple values, array of values. You can add multiple conditions like hundreds of data to this. Okay, same way, how can we do that in here? Okay, so that's where your inquiry comes. Okay, so user ID equal to, so it is going to take one more parameter here, in. Okay, so there is something called in here. So in, and you can supply an array, something like 22 and 23. See, basic JavaScript array it takes. Okay, so fetch all the posts that has user ID in 22 and 23, exactly similar to this. Okay, so if I do this, see, only that particular record is going to display. Okay, same way we had something called not in, right? So not in. So except 22 and 23, all records should display. Okay, so just add here n. So not in, n in. Okay, so if you do this, except 22 and 23, all records should be displayed. Okay. Clear on this? So clear on this completely? So these are some basic operations we need to understand. already. Okay, now I already told you how to write AND condition. Okay, so what is an AND condition? So for example, if you want to have user ID equal to 10 and this is AND, just add that particular property, and title equal to something like this. Okay, so this is going to be your AND condition. Okay, so two conditions: user ID equal to 10 and title equal to some other value, some values. Okay, so if I do this, this is going to be your AND condition. Okay, so the only that matches. But okay, so there is one more property called AND. Okay, so for example, if you want to have OR condition, how can you do that here? Because you just gave you like comma comma, right? Okay, so for example, if you want to have OR condition, okay, you have to mention that it is an OR condition, right? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll rewrite the AND condition first and check the OR condition. Okay, so see, we can write AND condition in this way, or here we can use a property called AND. Okay, so and okay, it takes array of conditions. Okay, the first condition is your user ID equal to 10. Okay, and your second condition is title equal to this. Okay, so you can mention in this way also. So what happens here is post get all the post where user ID equal to 10 and title equal to this property. Okay, so if you run this, the same query, same result will be displayed. Okay, and now the same condition you can add conditions here. Okay, so or user ID equal to 10. So first condition matches. Okay, every record will be displayed. Okay, user ID equal to 10. Okay, so all records will be displayed. Okay, so this is how we will be using and or. Okay, the same example we can use it for your not as well. For example, we can add not here. Okay, so not, and if you want to take if you don't want to have user ID equal to 10 and title, okay, so you can mention it. So okay, so if you use not, okay, so you need to mention, right? So not user ID equal to 10, okay, and title. So and that particular condition there is there, right? And okay, so that condition you need to add. For example, here you need to add which property is not. Okay, so here we use not in, right? For example, here user ID is not. So for example, use not. So for example, use not equal something like this to. So for your mention only one condition, not equal to. Okay, so you can even mention in this way. Okay, so user ID not equal to. Okay, so basic not condition we had, right? Same way. Okay, if you want to have, so I told you this example already. Okay, so not equal to, we will be using NE. Okay, I told you here, right? Same way, if you want to have opposite condition to this, okay, so not equal to 10. Okay, so here you can add that not condition, something like this. Okay, so you can add it here. Okay, so what happens here? So not equal to 10. Okay, so other records except the 10 will be displayed here. Okay, so it should display yes, so not equal to. Okay, so that is what, so not equal to 10 here. Okay, so then all the records will be displayed. Okay, so what happens here? Not equal to 10 means except 10. Okay, all records will be displayed. Okay, and you are applying a not condition to that. Okay, so then what happens here is exactly opposite to this. So exactly opposite to this means it is going to be equal to 10. Okay, so all the records that has user ID equal to 10 will be displayed. Okay, so you can use not condition here as well, something like not in. Okay, so ni in. Okay, or you can directly use a not command here. For example, not greater than 10. Okay, so not greater than 10 means not greater than 10 means it's going to be something like less than 10. Okay, so yeah, so see, not greater than 10 means your 22 and 23 record is not coming because only this particular record is coming here because this is not greater than 10, right? That's what. Okay, so you can even directly use these properties. So you can use nen or something like this. or if you want to use not condition and apply these things, okay, not less than, not greater than, not less than, equal to, not greater than, equal to, you can apply it in this way. Okay, so that is the purpose of your not. So not greater than 10 means so less than equal to 10. Okay, so not greater than equal to 12 means so less than equal to 12. Okay, so that is what the not condition here is. Okay, clear? Clear on the and, or, and not? Repeat once. Which one? So you want me to have not? So see here. Suppose we want to have this way. Okay. Greater than equal to 12. Okay, so you have greater than equal to, okay, not equal to, so greater than 10. Okay, I will have it in this way. So it will display 20, 22 and 23. Okay, suppose if you want to have opposite of this, okay, it is not greater than 10. Okay, what you can do, you can either use less than here. Okay, so less than equal to 10. Okay, or you can add a not condition to your greater than condition here. Okay, so not greater than. Okay, so it's just like exactly similar to less than equal to. So LTE. Okay. So what it means? User ID not greater than 10. Okay. Then what it means? Not greater than 10 means it's going to be less than equal to 10, right? That's what. You can either use directly your LTE and remove the not condition, or you can add not condition, have them displayed. Have them have your opposite condition if you want. Okay. So we basically directly follow these things like in LT and other things. Okay. In some cases, if you want to have not condition, you can have not greater than. Okay. Which is again, it's going to be less than or equal to. Okay. Clear on the not now? So basically, it is against whatever you give. If you give NE, okay, or LT, okay. So exactly, if you mention LT greater than 2, what is this? Less than 10, right? So opposite of less than 10. Okay. So that is what here. Okay. Explain not in. Not in, you have the condition, right? NIN. So not in this one. Oh, you want me to have in this condition, right? Okay. So see here, you can directly use what you can use NIN, right? So not in, okay, and you can supply some value. For example, not in 22 and 23. Okay. So if you do this, what will happen? So if I do this, so if I do this, what will happen? 10 records only will be coming. Okay. So 22 and 23. Okay. Suppose if you want to get, okay, in command, okay, so opposite of this. Okay. So you can directly use in. Okay. So in 2023, you can do this. Or you can use again the not in condition. Okay. Not in. Okay. So if you want to get opposite of this, you can just add not here. Okay. So something like this. Okay. So if I run this, see, exactly not in 23. Okay. So not in 22 and 23 means it's going to be 10, right? User ID 10. Okay. Exactly opposite to this. Something like not in means it's going to be in 22 and 23. And that's why 22 and 23 is displayed. Okay. Clear? So not in means what happens? Not in means so it's going to be 22 and 23. Okay, so those records only will be displayed. So you please don't confuse yourself with not. Okay, so you can directly use that particular command. So for example, if you want to have not in condition, just go here and that will display 10. If you want to have in condition, just go here and that particular record will be displayed. Okay, so there is a very minimal use of not. Okay. Clear on this? Can you move to the next topic? Can everyone come? So today's class will be very short. Okay, so you can ask any questions now so that we can see it here in our example. Okay, so now let's move on to the projection part. Okay, so what is the projection? Projection is nothing but, for example, I'm going to display this. Okay, so all the records. Okay, it's going to display all the records. For example, here in our SQL, what we had here is, so this is exactly similar to select star from posts. Okay, it is exactly similar to this, right? Suppose I need only title and for example user ID and title alone. Okay, so how can I do that? So that is what your projection is. Okay, so projection is nothing but what is the field that you are going to project. What it means is what is the field that you are going to display. Okay, so here I'm using user ID and title. Okay, I don't need my body or ID to be displayed. Okay, so how can I do that? That's the question here, right? So you have your find here, right? First condition is first parameter is your where condition. Same way, second parameter is your projection. Okay, so for example, if you mention user ID or title equal to 1, okay, and user ID equal to 1, okay, so 1 is nothing but display it. If you mention 0, it is not going to display. Okay, for example, if you mention title equal to 1 and user ID equal to 1, okay, see now the body is not there. Okay, user ID, so whatever you mentioned, title equal to 1 and user ID equal to 1. Okay, so you can ask me then why ID column is displayed. Okay, so by default your find statement will return your ID. Okay, right, if you don't want to mention a particular property, you can give 0. So for ID column I can mention 0. Okay, what it means is don't display ID column. Okay, if I do this, see, only user ID and title. So whichever has the property 1 here, okay, it is 1 is nothing but true. Okay, so when whatever the property has true, that is going to display that particular thing here. Okay, so if I have underscore ID equal to 0, okay, if you don't do this, okay, user ID equal to 1 and title 1, okay, if you mention this, only that particular property will be displayed here. Okay, by default your underscore ID column will be displaying here. If you don't want to mention it, you just need just add 0. So see, so now it's not going to display it. So only the properties that you here in your projection with 1, okay, so which means true. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm explaining. So if you that's how your MongoDB works. Okay, second parameter is your projection. Whatever it is again going to be an object. Okay, if you mention 1, what it means is enable user ID or display your user ID. Suppose if you mention 0, don't display user ID. For example, if I run this, see, so if I do this 0, cannot do field title in inclusion protection. So see here, suppose if I want to have only the user ID column here, okay, I can mention user ID equal to 1. Okay, so whatever the property that you mentioned here, okay, so whatever the property that you mentioned here explicitly, okay, so for example, so what is the error it was throwing? So title equal to 0. Okay, so if you mention this, okay, what will happen here is you don't need to mention at all. That's why it's throwing an error. Okay, so you don't need to mention title equal to 0 at all. Okay, if you don't have it, okay, it will whatever the property has 1, okay, that will be displayed. Okay, but your ID column differs. Okay, so for example, if I have this, okay, so in our case, what we understand from this statement, fetch all your posts. Okay, so all the posts and project only your user ID column. Okay, only the user ID column. Okay, if I do this, so user ID column will be displayed, but I told you, right, here underscore ID. Okay, ID will be coming by default. Okay, so your 0 property that I told you, right, that will apply for your ID column here. Okay, so if I go here, id, explicitly I'm mentioning id equal to 0. Okay, if I do this, only the user id property will be coming here. Okay, so that is the thing. So if you whatever the property that you mentioned with 1 here, so 1 is nothing but true, that property will be displayed here. Okay, what is the major use of auto generated id? That's the unique id you are going to use. So wherever, so your id is the one you are going to use it everywhere. So ID is nothing but the unique ID that you are going to identify a particular row, right? So a particular document, right? So without ID, how can you proceed? So in order to identify a particular record, you need to have ID column. Okay. For example, here in my JSON placeholder, I go here and give the post. Okay. Suppose if I want to get my first post, I will use one here, right? Same way, I will be using this ID. Okay. So I will be using this ID here and fetching that particular report. Okay. I mean, particular post. Okay. So that is the purpose of your ID. It is exactly similar to you have a auto increment ID in your MySQL, right? Same way this. Okay. We will be using this ID to represent a particular record. Okay. Yeah. So this is all about your projection. Okay. So your projection is nothing going to project a certain field. Okay. So from your collection. Okay. First is your where condition, and the last is your projection. Okay. So you can explicitly mention user ID equal to, so whatever the property that you mention inside the projection with 1 will be coming. Suppose if you don't want to have ID column, you can equal to 0. Okay. So in all the cases, we basically need ID equal to 0. Okay. And that's why by default it's coming. Okay. Now is it clear? Hello. Okay. Yeah. So that's all. So in all the scenarios, we need ID. Okay. So we don't need to skip it. Okay. We'll have the ID column here, but other fields or other columns that you want to mention, you can just have the projection command here. User ID equal to 1, or if you want to have body, okay, you can have body 1 here. Body data only to displayed, and title will not be coming here. Okay. So that is all about your projection. Okay. Clear? So this is going to apply for your find one as well. Okay, so whatever is the query to like find one, both applies. The second param is going to be your projection attribute. All right. Yeah. The next thing is limit. Okay. So what we had in our here, select star from posts and limit. We had a limit attribute, right? So something called limit. Suppose if I want to have only 2 records, I can use limit of 2. Okay. Same applies here. Okay. First, I'm going to display all the records. If I want to have only 2, okay. So find dot limit. Okay. So it will have one more property, and you can apply your values. Okay. So if you want to have limit 2, can I mention here? Only the first 2 records will be displayed. So 22 and 10. Suppose if you mention 3 records, is going to display 3 records. Okay. So that is what your limit is. Okay. So limit here in our select query, select star from post limit to, what happens here? So only the first 2 records will be displayed. Okay. The same syntax if you want to use it in your MongoDB. So post find. Okay. So if you want to add condition, you can add your conditions as well. And find, okay, and limit by 3. Okay. So limit by 3 means only first 3 rows will be displayed. Okay. So now we had one more property, right? So here we'll be using something called 1,2, same way 3,2, and some things, right? Okay. So what is the purpose of it? The starting thing. Okay. The same way here we have something called skip. Okay. So for example, if I use skip, okay, and for example, if I mention 1, it is exactly similar to 1,3 here. Okay. So here select star from post limit 1,3 here, right? What it means? It will skip the first record, okay, and display next 3 records. Okay. That is the same way here. So you're going to list 3 records. skip the first record alone. So the first record will be skipped and next 3 records should be displayed. See the next 3 records. Okay. Suppose if you want to have skip 0, okay. So it will just take the first 3 records. Okay. Same if you use skip 2, okay. So it will skip the first 2 records and display other 3 records. Same if I use 3, first 3 records will be skipped and last 3 records will be displayed. Okay. So exactly similar to we had 1, 3, 2, 3 in our MySQL, right? So that is what the skip here is. Okay. Limit skip. Okay. Clear? If we swap the places of limit and skip. Okay. Let's see. It is going to display the same. So that is not an issue. So always order doesn't matter here. Okay. So yes. So this is exactly similar to 3, 3. Suppose if you want to have 1, okay. So here 1, first record will be skipped and next 3 records will be displayed. So see, same way, first record is skipped and other things. Yeah. So that's all about your limit and skip. Okay. So now the next part is your sort. So I have all the records. So what is sort here? We'll be using order by, right? So order by, for example, user ID. So by default, it is going to be, what is the by default value for SQL here? It's going to be ascending. Okay. So if I run this command, what will happen? It is going to sort by ascending. Okay. In your MySQL. Okay. Same way, we have something called sort. Okay. You can use sort here. Okay. And see, this is the criteria. For example, if you use user ID, okay, equal to 1, it is going to sort, okay, sort by user ID and in the form of ascending. Okay. So 1 is going to be ascending and -1 is going to be descending. Okay. So that's the thing. So if I use user ID equal to 1, see 10, 10, 10 and ordered by 10. If I use -1, see descending 23 and order differs. Okay. So that is the thing with your sort. Okay. So is it possible to create a fixed fields with types like, no, you cannot do that. So this is not a relational database. This is completely non-relational. It is not going to work in that way. So if you want to do that, you can restrict in your code. For example, if you implement Node.js, okay, if you implement MongoDB inside your Node.js, you can restrict your condition like these properties should be present. You will be adding certain conditions. But in the database level, we don't have anything like that. Okay, respective programming language should take care of it. Okay? So that is the thing here. Yeah, it is going to be same for your string. For example, if you want to have title, okay, and if I mention 1 here, title is going to sort by title. So A, next it should be E, and sorry, there is a D here. A, D, and E, and then G and N. Okay. So A, D, E, G, N. Okay. So the same applies to your string as well. Somewhere if you use -1, so it is going to be in the opposite order, something like a descending order. Okay. So in your sort, you need to use 1 if you want to sort it by ascending. Okay. Same way, if you want to have it in your descending, okay, it is going to be -1. Okay. So that is the thing. If we not mention 1 and -1 here, let's see. So if I use 0, you throw you an error. It should be either 1, it should be -1. So sort key is going to take only 1 for ascending and -1 for ascending. If you mention any other value, it will throw you an error. Yeah. So that's all about your sorting things. Okay. So far clear on these topics? So collectively, do you guys have any questions on this? Okay. So let's move on to the aggregation topics here. Okay. So what are all the aggregations that we saw in our MySQL? So something like count, sum, average, min, max, and other things, right? Okay. The same applies here as well. Okay. So only thing is you need to add, you need to use respective keywords. Okay. For example, if you want to have the count, okay, they'll give you the count. Okay. So count of all the records. So 6. Okay. So it is going to give you the count, everything. Okay. Suppose if you want to have some condition. So for example, user ID equal to 10. So with user ID 10, there is going to be only 4 records. Okay. So count of your records. Okay. Something called select count of star from posts. Okay. Where user ID equal to 10. Okay. So exactly similar to this command. Okay. So db.post and count. Okay. So this is how we'll be counting our records. Okay. Same way. So we just completed our count here. So now if you want to find distinct, okay. So what is the distinct? So unique value in your column, right? So same way, if you use distinct here, you can use distinct. And what is the column that you want to find distinct? Okay. For example, if you mention user ID, it's going to display the unique value. So 10, 22, and 23. Okay. The unique value inside your user ID column. Okay. Same way, if you use title or whatever the property, that particular thing will be coming here. Exactly similar to select distinct user ID from posts where, okay, no where condition. Okay. So here, exactly similar to this. So it is going to give you the distinct part. Okay. So distinct is done. Okay. So clear on this, clear on the count and distinct part. Can you pass 2 arguments like user ID? No, you cannot do that, right? It is going to be here. It is going to be your unique ID, right? So only one column is supported. So it needs to get only one record, right? So it is not going to happen in that way. No, no, no. It cannot be done. Okay. So it's not going to happen here. So what we will do is, I lost my charge. No current here. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So this is what your distinct is. Okay. So if you want to find the distinct of a particular property, okay. So exactly similar to this query. Distinct of user ID from post, it's going to be distinct of user ID. Only that particular unique values will be coming here. Okay. The last thing is group by. So what is the purpose of group by in your MySQL? So what we did, so I told you one example, the purpose of group by. So what is the example? Anyone? Okay, so see, what I did is I counted my docs. Okay, so yes, so groups the count the docs with ID. Okay, the same way here. So this is what I did. So I fetched all the user ID. Okay, and based on user ID, we fetch the count. Okay, so that is what we did, right, in the case of our SQL. Okay, the same here. We need to use, so again, there is something called group by here. Okay, what you need to do is, this is going to be your aggregations, right? Okay, so you need to use a function called aggregate. So it is going to take a function called aggregate. Okay, see, watch it clearly. What will happen here? See here, aggregate takes array of values. Okay, and here you need to apply your group by conditions. Okay, so array of values, array of objects. I'm going to have a first object here. So what is my first object? So I'm going to group my everything. Okay, so group by my user ID here. Okay, so if I do this in the case of MongoDB, what you need to do is here user ID, right? So you need to project your underscore ID. Okay, so you need to project your underscore ID as, so your underscore ID, right? So you are going to get, you are going to make use of user ID now. Okay, so you need to project ID as user ID here. Okay, so how we do that is, okay, see here. So first parameter, okay, so it is going to take, first I told you, right, group by. Okay, so you need to use something called group. Okay, see, group. Okay, so what is the group that I'm going to have here is, okay, I need to use ID equal to, so ID colon, okay, and I told you, right, I'm going to project my ID as user ID here. Okay, so what is the reason? Because I'm going to get the count based on my user ID, right, not my ID. Okay, so then I need to project that group. Okay, I'm going to group, okay, I'm going to group my uh, collection into user IDs. Okay, so for example, what will happen here is, I told you, right, in the group by. So first it will group your things into multiple values. Okay, for example, if it is a group 10, okay, user ID 10, this will be a different group. Okay, same way 23 will be a different group, and 22 will be a different group. Okay, so that is what. So what is the group's unique ID? It's going to be your user ID, right? So that is what you need to mention here. Okay, so here you need to mention that particular column. Okay, so db.post.aggregate, it takes an array of values. Okay, and it takes each and every objects. Okay, you are grouping, okay, you are grouping things by mentioning that I am going to count it by ID equal to user ID. Okay, and now see, if you want to get the count, okay, so for example, I can have something called a number of posts. Okay, so we usually use this. Okay, so number of posts. Okay, so again, it's going to be an object here, and I'm going to use, okay, so I need to count, right? Okay, so now I can use either, yeah, either of these. Okay, so here I have count, I have sum, I have average, I can have minimum, max, and other things. Okay, so you can mention those properties inside your production things. Okay, so for example, if I want to have a number of posts, okay, so number of posts, what I'll do is, I'm going to use it as sum. Okay, so sum here and all the records. Okay, for example, if for example I'm going to show you the sum now. Okay, so sum of all the user IDs. So see here, what it does is, for each and every ID, okay, so user ID, okay, I'm just summing up the user IDs things. Okay, so if I have 10, okay, what happens here? So 10, 10, 10, and 10, 40. Okay, so basically here you are grouping the things. Okay, so basically you are grouping the things here. So group ID equal to user ID. Okay, now the ID column will be projected as user ID. Okay, if you want to have some conditions here, okay, for example, sum, we can use something called count or whatever things. Okay, so it shows the documentation here, right? See, whatever you mention in your ID column, that is going to be projected as that particular thing. Okay, if you want to have the total equal to total amount, these are all some custom values. Okay, so count equal to sum equal to 1 means, okay, it is going to display the count. Okay, same way here, I'm going to give sum the user IDs. Okay, so here 10 40, why it is, first it will group the records into 10. Okay, so 10 group. Okay, and then it sums up the things. Okay, the same applies here. For example, if you want to have max, okay, or if you want to have count, okay, so you can mention it this way. So and mention see, it will give you the count. Okay, so what happens here is, so if you use number of posts, so this is the syntax basically. Okay, aggregate function. So because you are going to use some aggregations. Okay, and what are all the aggregations? Aggregation is nothing but aggregate the things. Okay, so grouping the things. So here you are grouping. Okay, you are grouping entire collection by the way of user ID. Okay, suppose if you want to get the count. Okay, so for you can use any number, any parameters here. Okay, you can use count or whatever, like number of posts or whatever. I use number of posts here. Okay, so in order to have the same number of same hierarchy here. Okay, so number of posts. Okay, if you mention sum equal to 1, okay, what it means is it is going to sum your count. Okay, so every count will be added. So 23, so where number of posts with ID 23 is 1. Same way with 22, it's going to be 1. With same with user ID 10, it's going to be 4. Okay, so it might be confusing for you. So what is sum doing here and other things? Okay, but there is no way syntax. Okay, so sum equal to 1 is going to project you the things. Basically it is going to project you the count. Okay, so number of posts. So if you go here, okay, see the example itself. Okay, so they gave group, they are giving ID something like month. Okay, they are doing month and doing the price here. Okay, so what they do here is they are just multiplying your price and quantity. So this is an example. It has sales table inside it. Okay, so they are just grouping the sales table and getting the count. Okay, same way in our scenario, what we had ID equal to user ID. Okay, it is going to count by user ID now, and number of posts, if you want to get the count, okay, you use sum equal to 1. Okay, so what it means is it is going to sum your records. Okay, so exactly the summing your count. Okay, so 10th records they have 4, 23 is having 1, and 22 is having 1. Okay, and that's why it's showing in that way. Okay, so clear on this, clear on the aggregate part? Do I need to explain again? Okay, see here. So here what we had is group by user ID. Okay, so this is what our condition is. Select user ID and count of star. Okay, from post. Okay, and group by your user ID. Okay, what is happening here? You're first grouping them by user ID and then getting the count. Okay, so projecting like user ID and the particular count. The same can be implemented here in your MongoDB is you need to first use something called aggregate. Okay, so you need to use aggregate function. Okay, and your aggregate function takes array parameters, array of things. Okay, and you can add multiple things here. So first thing is I'm having something called group. Okay, so I'm grouping my entire data, the something like this, right? Okay, by user ID first. Okay, so grouping. So if you mention underscore, okay, I'm sorry, dollar, okay, it is going to mention that particular column in the data in the collection. Okay, so underscore dollar user ID means it's going to point to this particular thing here. Okay, if you mention title, okay, if you mention title here, it is going dollar title, it's going to take this particular value. Okay, so ID property, we are giving something called user ID. Okay, so dollar user ID. So now until this point of time, your entire collection is grouped based on the things with user ID. Okay, so then if you want to get the count, okay, so you can use it in this way, like sum of, okay, number of posts. If you want to get the count, okay, you can mention sum here. Okay, suppose if you want to have uh, okay, so for example, if I want to get the minimum value or maximum value, I will add this thing. So then only you will understand. I will add, so I will add uh, likes. I'll just add another. Okay. Okay, so if you don't understand, I'm going to explain you again from the scratch. Okay, so if you don't understand, now watch it clearly. Okay, so this particular post is posted by user ID 23 and title is someone, it's something value. Okay, this post got 12 likes. Okay, same as somebody. Same way this post got 34 likes. This post got 55 likes, and same way other things. Okay, so now see, first what I need to do is I will take multiple scenarios. Okay, suppose if you want to get the number of posts created by your user, okay, so a particular user, for example 10th user posted how many posts, for example 4 posts, 23rd user posted 1 post, 22nd user posted 1 post. Okay, so if I want to get the count, okay, this is the way. See, first you need to group them by user ID. I told you, right? First you need to group them by user ID. So group and group them by, so whenever you mention like underscore ID, it's something like grouping by user ID. Okay, so this by here, right, this by is going to represent this underscore ID. Okay, group by user ID. Okay, so until this point of time, it's going to group your things. Okay, suppose if I remove this, okay, it is going to group by your ID. Okay, so basically what happens here, grouping by your user ID. Okay, so your grouping part is done. So now your scenario is you need to get the count of all the posts. Okay, So how can you do that? So this is the scenario. You can have any property, any names here. I'm going to use number of posts. Okay. So there is a property called sum. Okay. So underscore sum. And if you mention one, this will act as a count. Okay. So you have count of star here, right? That's what here. Sum equal to one. Okay. What it means is it is going to count your all the posts based on the user ID. Okay. If you run this, see, 10th user posted 4 posts, 23rd user posted 1 post, and 22nd user posted one post. Okay. Now, okay, so I'm going to introduce each and everything. Now I need to get, okay, so this particular user got how many likes? Okay, so how many likes? So sum of all the likes, 34, 55, 12, and 98. Okay, if you want to do the same sum operation, okay, go here, and instead of giving one, if you mention one, it is going to count your record, right? If you mention a particular column, okay, for example, likes, if you do this, it is going to count all your likes. Okay, so this is the difference between having sum with your column name, or if you mention one, it is going to act as a count. Okay, count of all the docs. If you mention a particular column, it is going to sum that particular likes. Okay, so 10th user got 199 likes, 34, 55, 12, and 98. Okay, same way here, if you want to mention what is the maximum like, okay, so out of his post, okay, what gets the highest like? See, 10th user got 98 as a maximum like. So see this particular 98 user. Same way, if I use minimum, okay, I can get that value. Okay, so 12 is the minimum value, right? And that gets added there. Okay, suppose if you want to know average of all the likes he got, okay, you need to use something called AVG. Okay, so average of all the likes. Okay, so it's going to display some values. Okay, so this is how it will work. Okay, clear on this? Now is it clear? What other aggregate functions can we use inside group? Max, min, average. Yeah, that's what I told you, max, min, and average. Okay, so why can't we give number of post count equal to user ID? Yes, 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 yes. Why can't we give number of post count equal to user ID? I never tried it. Okay, so since you asked, I will try. So count, okay, of number of your likes, right? It's throwing an error. Okay, so count is not acting as a group operator. Okay, so aggregation operators are sum, count, sum, average, min, and max. Okay, so that is what your aggregate operations are. Okay, so you can mention something like this. Okay, average, min, max, and other things. Okay, suppose you can, there are multiple things. Okay, there is something called first. Okay, so if you do this, okay, if you do this, it gives you the what happens here is it is going to give you the thing here. Okay, so what you'll have here, you have 98, right? It will sort by your ascending and give that particular value. Okay, same way if I use last here, it is going to give you the, basically what happens here is if you use last and first, it will sort your records. This if it will group your 10th record here. Okay, it will group your 10th record. Okay, so it will group your 10th record, and then sort by things, sort by ascending. And if you mention first, okay, it will give you the here 98. Okay, same if you mention last, it is going to give you the 12th record. Okay, so that's how first and last works. Okay, so these are some other properties that the aggregate function support. Okay, so we basically you don't use that, but if you want to have try it, okay, use this. Okay, so that is the thing, you can use max, average, sum, okay, whatever the things you want. Okay, clear on the aggregate functions? Can everyone confirm? Already. Okay. So yes. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go over the things. Okay. So I need to add them to the document here, right? So I'll start. So now you are going to instruct me. Okay. How to add where condition? I'll quickly write the queries. How to add the where conditions? Exactly. The first parameter. Okay. You can mention your condition here. So your condition and your value. So this is how we will be having where conditions. Okay. Suppose if you want to have and condition, okay, you can mention just like condition 1 and value 1. Same way condition 2 and value 2. Okay. So in what other way and condition can be implemented? So you can use what else? And exactly. So here I can mention and, okay, and mention it in the or condition. You can mention and condition in this way also. Okay. Same way if you want to use or condition, here it's going to be or. Alrighty. So now quickly go over the conditions. Okay. So this is going to be not equal to. If you want to use not equal to, so go the things here. Suppose what is the column? So condition 1. What's the condition here? So not equal to means here I need to add not equal to. Okay. So that is the thing. We will quickly add examples. Here db.post.find user id equal to 10. Okay. So it is going to display only the user id with 10. Same way here in your and condition, can use id and title equal to GUI. Okay, if you mention this, it will act as a and condition. Okay, same way here we can use and here and your post and user id equal to 10 is your first condition, title equal to GUI is going to be your second condition. Okay, so then the same example, if you want to use or condition, you can just need to mention or. Okay, so what is the purpose of not equal to? So go over here. So if you want to have not equal to, so not equal to 10. Okay, user id not equal to 10. Okay, the same. What else? We have less than. We have less than equal to, greater than, greater than equal to what else? Yes, not in and in. Yes, so you'll add the conditions. So not equal to, sorry, it's going to be less than. So just add LT. Okay. Same way the example here is, it's going to be LT. Same way for less than equal to, it's going to be LTE. LTE. Same way for greater than, to use GT. Same way here as well, GT. Then for greater than equal to, yes, I'm getting in the comments. Okay, so you guys get refresh it. Okay, so GT, GT. Then not in. Sorry, first I'll have in here. So what is the condition of in? The same here in, here in. You can mention array of values. Value 1, comma, value 2. Same is going to apply here. It's going to be not in. And the example is in 22, 23. Same way for not in, you can mention not in here. Okay. So the not in part is done. So I mentioned you and or and not. Okay. So you can add them here at any point of time. So not in, not in, not greater than equal to, not greater than. Okay. So I will have here. So not. Okay. So not operator. So db dot collection. Okay, so you can have any conditions here. Okay, so for example, here any condition, and if you want to add not to it, not, and add one more property here. Okay, so I'll take this example and add the not condition to this, not greater than equal to. Okay, so a not is done. So what else? We have something called projection. Okay, so projection, so the same, it's going to be your second parameter. Okay, first parameter is your condition, second parameter is your projection. Okay, so for example, whatever the field, okay, it can be either one. Okay, it should be one. Okay, so if you mention one, what will happen? Only that particular column will be displaying. Okay, so db dot post dot find. Okay, I don't have any condition. If you want to have a where condition, you can have there. Here I'm going to have user ID equal to 1, title equal to 1. Okay, so now if you want to mention, if you don't want to mention ID, you need to use ID equal to 0. Okay, so that is the thing here with your projection. Okay, so what is the next thing? So we have something called limit. Okay, so what is a limit? So the same here. So db dot collection dot find. You can add some condition to it if you don't want to do it. Okay, so it's up to you. And limit here whatever the value. Okay, so number, I will have number here. So example is db dot posts dot find dot limit. Here, for example, if I use 5, it is going to retrieve 5 records. Same way for skip, I'm going to copy this. Okay, so you can add skip here, wherever you want. So again, it's going to be a number here, and here it's going to be again here, and I need to add that particular condition. Skip here whatever the number if you want to mention. So I can skip the first record. Okay, so skip one record and retrieve or fetch next 5 records. Okay, so this is how your skip works. So then sort is going to again, so I'm going to use find here, and sort, you can combine these things. Okay, so you can combine find, sort, and then skip and limit also. Okay, so I'm just giving an example of sort here. If you want to add everything like skip, limit, everything to this, okay, you can add them as well. So sort, okay. So what are the column that you want to mention here? Okay, so if you mention 1 or -1, any values here. Okay, so if you use 1, so for example db dot post dot find, yeah, just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry guys. Okay, so what we are seeing, so sort. Okay, so db dot post dot find. Okay, and if you want to have sort to it, just add sorting here, and whatever the condition. For example, if you want to sort them by user id, okay, so it is going to be ascending. Okay, same ascending. Okay, so find dot sort user id. If you mention -1, it is going to be descending. So that's all about your sorting part. So sort, limit, and other things. Okay, so let's move on to count. Okay, suppose if you want to count the records, db dot collection name dot, just give the count. Okay, so it will retrieve the count for you. So example is db dot post dot count. It will give you the count of all records. Okay, if you want to have some conditions, for example db dot post dot count, okay, and get count for user id equal to 10. Okay, records which has user okay, so which has user id 10. Okay, so you can add where conditions to your count as well. So now what about distinct? So distinct, so db, so I'm going to copy this, I'm going to use distinct. Okay, and what are the column name that you want to mention? Okay, so distinct is something, it is going to give you the unique value, right? For example, what are the unique values for your user ID? So it's not going to be a count, it's going to be field. Okay, so it is going to get all user ID values. So your distinct part is that. Then comes your group by. Okay, so group by, or we can have it as aggregate. Okay, so aggregate, we saw multiple things. Okay, first thing is group by with, okay, which act as a count. Okay, so we can use some as a db. So I have the query there itself. So here, so aggregate. Okay, so this is first scenario. You can use your group by to get the count. Okay, so if you use one here, it is going to get all the, it will group by first by user ID and get number of all the posts. Okay, if you use sum equal to 1. Okay, if you do this. Okay, same way you can use group by. Okay, and get sum of all the likes. Okay, so sum of all the likes. So if you want to do this, the same, get the copy of it, sum, and mention that particular column. So we had something called likes. Same way, group by maximum like. Okay, which post has the maximum like. Okay, same way here, it's going to be minimum, and same example is minimum here. Same way, it's going to, so average is to get the average of all the records. So it's going to be average here, max, min, average. Okay, so what else is missing? So everything is done by sum, max, min, average. Okay, so there is like first and last. Okay, so we're not, so we can consider this one. Okay, so see what else we had. So group, okay, so we use group by, okay, something called id and get the user id, and we are getting sum of all the likes here, maximum of all the likes, minimum of all the likes, and average of the likes. Okay, so we can use aggregate in this way. Okay, clear on the aggregation part? Can everyone confirm? Alrighty, okay. So this is something like, actually this is a very basic with your MongoDB. Okay, so there are like MongoDB is like, it's like a big ocean. Okay, so they have multiple properties, multiple other features in it. So there are something like with your projection, match, even your aggregate function has many things to handle. Okay, but these are some basics that we use in our real-time applications. Okay, so these are the major things that we use. So other than this, it's very minimal. Okay, it depends on the situation and the requirement. Okay, but we have covered all the basics. Okay, so but you should not stop here. Okay, so please have your things, start learning MongoDB. Okay, first strengthen your basics. Okay, So only if you know how to update a record or how to do where condition, how to have and condition, okay, don't then only you can understand how your advanced queries work. Okay, so this is the basic part of your MongoDB, and that applies to your MySQL as well. Okay, there are plenty of concepts in MySQL, like having stored procedures, views, and other things. Okay, but when you are strong with MySQL, you can take one course for a MySQL for MongoDB as well separately. It can take like one month or 2 months. Okay, because there are so much concepts in this. Okay, but as a normal full stack developer, okay, so you need to know the basics. So these are all the basics that we need to know. Okay, so for example, if you want to do a CRUD operation, okay, so basic things here. So basically what we'll use, we will be inserting a record, updating a record, we will be deleting a record. And same way, if you want to apply unconditional and fetch the user details, you can use those things. And if you want to create a record, okay, so if you want to create a enterprise application, there will be multiple things. Okay, so other than this, there is many things to learn in MongoDB. Okay, so we have just covered like as a non-stack developer, you need to know these things. Okay, so that is what we covered here. Okay, please have these things, at least have these things thorough. Okay, so without this you cannot learn any other things in your MongoDB. Okay, so this is the very basic thing. So like creating collection, dropping the database, what are the data types available, and these are all some basic interview question, like how your ID is generated, like how many bytes and other things, how to create a record, what is the difference between insert and insert one, same way find and find one, update one and find one update. Okay, so you need to mention these things, like if you mention return new document. Okay, so you need to know that this is going to retrieve the new record. Okay, so in every application, like in your thread operation, we will be using find one and update. Okay, what is the reason? Because it returns you the updated value, right? So we need that value. Okay, so it is a confirmation that the record has been updated. Okay, so that is what we use find one and update. Okay, so you'll find where condition or another things. Okay, so please have them practiced. Okay, without practice you will forget this. I have a clear notes here, I just mentioned the condition and just gave you an example. So this will be helpful for your this will be helpful basically for your interview preparation and basic red operation, other things. Okay, okay, so alias is another concept in your aggregate. Okay, so aggregate has one more property called projection. Okay, so if I do this, it will become more complicated, and that's why I'm restricting here itself. Okay, already I have given I have just overloaded the MongoDB concepts. Okay, so we will skip those topics. Okay, so yes, please thorough with these things. Okay, so this is more than enough for starting your monster career. Okay, please have these things uh, thorough. Okay, so then only you can learn the advanced concepts. Okay, so please practice these things. Don't leave it as it is. Okay, try your MySQL and MongoDB. Just compare them. So when you compare those things, then only you will understand. Okay, I think there is if you have a paid version of your NoSQL booster. Okay, so there is a thing here. There is something called SQL query tab. Okay, so if you mention select star from post, okay, it will run the same query, like it will convert the query to your MongoDB and retrieve the result. Okay, see, you just mentioned select star from post, right? It is retrieving you the data. See here. So select star from post and retrieving the data. Same way, if I use count of star, okay, it will transform it to a MongoDB query and give the count. See, so it gives multiple things. So that's why I use NoSQL bootstrap sometimes. Okay, but this is going to be in your paid version. So I have a free trial version running. It's going to expire soon. Okay, and if you want to try out your queries, for example, uh, what can I have? So count So we are from post and group by user ID. So we can have it this way. Okay, it will give you the count. See the same commands. User ID 22 is having user ID 22 is having one record. 10 will have 4 records. Okay, so the same things works here. So we have some other things. See, it will convert you the code. So this is the major learning part here. There is a code section here, right? If you mention a particular property here, okay, it will give you the conversion here, okay? So something like this. So I told you, right? So if you want to give alias, okay, so there is something called project here, okay? Okay. So I'm not going to confuse you guys, okay? So first thing is tab here, SQL query tab. So these are all some basic things here. So see here, go here, SQL query tab. You can write your normal queries here. Okay. If you click on code, it will give you the replacement for your MySQL query. Okay. So for example, select start from post. So what will be the code for it in the MongoDB is something like db.post.aggregate, or you can use your find command as well. Okay, you can do it in this way. So you can run your SQL queries here. First, practice your MySQL, then only. That's why I took MySQL first. Okay, when you know how a select statement, insert, and other things work, then only you come to know. I just compared your MySQL and MongoDB. Okay, first you need to be thorough with your MySQL basics, then compare it with your MongoDB. If you want to have some queries done, okay, you can use this editor. So that's why I prefer NoSQL Booster. And sometimes we'll stuck with MongoDB queries. Okay, so you can run your SQL queries here and just click on code here. It will generate you the code. Okay, so that is the thing. So it is a free version actually. It's I am using a free edition. It will be like 1 month, I think. So use it until you need. Okay, so have it in your. If you want to spend something, you can spend. Okay, but this is more than enough. So in 1 month, you can learn these things. Yes. Yeah. Collectively, do you guys have any questions? In Windows 8.1, the current version of MongoDB is not supporting. Which version should I download? So why is it not supporting MongoDB? So which version do you download? So if it is going to be Windows, okay, then yeah, then try any other versions here. Okay, so you might try 4.2, okay, 4.2 or 4.4, so it will work. So maybe like it is a new version. Okay, so always I told you, right? So whenever I install Node.js, what I told you, there will be two things. One is so there will be two things. One is your latest version and one is your recommended version. Okay. The same way here, the latest version may not support with all your OS. Okay. So your for 5.2 is still in your release. Okay. It's the current version. Okay. So it's still in the testing phase. Okay. So the latest version you can use is 4.4.7 or 4.4.8. So that will be a stable version. Hopefully that will not throw you an error. Try out this version. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Collectively, do you guys have any questions on the what? Please try out the MySQL first, and then only you need to know what how MongoDB works. Okay. Why can't I just use MongoDB in my web project? I can create a non-related table in MySQL to make this our own preference. Yes, you can do. Okay, but there is no logic in using non-SQL inside your in MySQL, right? That is not the case. So if you want to have MySQL, go with MySQL. MySQL is only for having relational database. Okay. So what is the purpose of having MySQL is, for example, e-commerce or any other relationship. For example, in e-commerce, each and every product will have some price, and there will be a seller, there will be a buyer, and those concepts. Okay, so each and every data is interrelated to we'll use it for storing a major bunch of data. Okay, so MongoDB is to store data gets increased in your MySQL. Okay, it's your MySQL gets slow. Okay, that's why we prefer MongoDB. MongoDB is like a light version of storing data. You can store any amount of data. Okay, it will just retrieve in just like seconds. Okay, so it depends on the requirement. Okay? So as a MERN stack, okay, so this Zen is nothing but a MERN stack, right? So we'll be majorly focusing on MongoDB, okay, and your other technologies like Node and React. Okay, so why we prefer, why I took MySQL. So when you know MySQL, so then only you can learn MongoDB. Okay, so that is the scenario. Yes, so that's the basically. So you need to know DML, DQL, and then I can compare you, right? So now whenever if I directly told you like find or update another thing, okay, so you cannot compare them with your MySQL here, right? So then it will not be an easy understanding. That's why I completed MySQL. So it's just an added advantage. You can learn MySQL here, some basics, and compare them with your MongoDB. And that's why here itself, you can just run your queries. Okay. So for example, if I use limit 1,2, okay. So if I so there is again aggregate has limit 2. Okay, you can use find here and find dot skip of 1 and find dot limit of 2. You can do it in this way, or you can use aggregate function. So that's what I told you. Aggregate has many concepts inside inside that. Okay, I just told you group by. Okay, so you can use all your skip, limit, projection, everything inside your aggregate. Okay, so it will be confusing. That's why I just completed with basic commands, limit and skip, like collection.skip, collection.limit. Okay, so that is the thing. So if you want to learn many concepts in aggregate, you can write your queries here or go to the MongoDB documentation. Okay, aggregate will have multiple properties inside it. Okay, clear? Do you guys have any questions for me? Or if it is okay for you, if I want to quickly go over aggregate, okay, it's up to you. The question is with you. Okay, so do I need to go quickly go over the aggregate if you need? Is it okay, or you can skip the topic? So we have commands here, right? Your find, projection, limit, skip, and other things. Okay, we can write those queries in your aggregate also. Okay, we can write in that way also. So if you're okay, I can show them as well quickly. But if you don't need it, or if it looks like overload, I'll skip that. Is it okay? Can everyone respond at least now? Okay, so I'll quickly go over the aggregate here. Okay, so we have aggregate function here, right? Okay, so see, aggregate takes an array. Okay, so it takes multiple parameters. Your aggregate has these much of attributes: match, project, limit, skip, group, these things. Okay, so it has this much of properties. There are multiple properties. Okay, so this is more your condition. Okay, so in your find how to apply your condition, so you'll be basically using your first parameter, right, in your find condition. Same way, here we have something called match. So whatever the thing you mentioned with 1 and 0 and other things, it will display. Same way for limit, we will be using directly the collection.limit. Same way we'll be using collection.skip. And those things, okay, we can write in your aggregation itself directly, okay? So let's see. So I will just quickly go over the normal example of aggregation, okay? So I told you, right, it takes multiple values, okay? For example, if you want to have a match condition, match is nothing but you're going to apply condition here, right? So match, and you can mention something like user ID equal to 10, okay? See, it is going to retrieve the user ID 10, okay? I'm again giving you a warning, okay? So it will make you confused with your find statement, okay? So in your find statement, you have the first parameter condition, right? Same way in your aggregate, okay? You need to use something called match to have your conditions mentioned it here, okay? Same way, there it is something called first parameter. Here it's something like an array of object. You can have anywhere you want, okay? So for example, next is you want to project, okay? So you need to use something called project, okay? And here, for example, I need only user ID 1, okay? So only user ID, okay? So now ask me like, well, I need alias, right? So how to have alias in projectors? Here, for example, I don't need user ID. I need user ID in this way, okay? So user ID, I need it in this way. I don't need it in this way, okay? You can do this, okay? You just need to mention your column in this way, user ID. It will come in that way, alias, okay? Match is to do where conditions, okay? Project is to project your data. You can use user ID 1 and other things, okay? User ID equal to 1 and what else? Title equal to 1, ID equal to 0. You can use those things as well, okay? So match project. Suppose if you want to have limit, okay, you can add one more object. Here you can add again limit, and you can mention some value 2, okay? So it's going to limit only 2 records now, okay? Same way if you want to add one more property, skip. So first I'm going to skip the first record alone. Next record only will be coming here now, okay? So that is the thing. So for example, now I don't need any user ID here, okay? So I don't need match anything. All records should be displayed. So limit of 5. So all the 5 records is displayed now, okay? And it is going to skip the first records, okay? So that is how your limit, project, and skip works, okay? Exactly similar to your find. In your find, you will have first thing as your condition, right? Here your condition is nothing but your match. Same way if you want to use projection, okay, you need to use project. Same way if you want to use limit, you need to use skip and group. I already showed you here, okay? You can use it in this way, okay? So I just give you a rough example, okay? Same way if you want to use sort, okay? So we have sort command, right? So you can even use sort. So sort of whatever the property you want. For example, if you want to have user ID, sort by user ID, you can mention user ID here, okay? So it is sorting sorting your user ID here. It's going to be this, I think. See, so you have given alias, right? So then you need to use the same name, okay? So user ID equal to 1, okay? So it is sorting it by 1. Suppose if you mention -1, is going to sort by your descending order, okay? The same command. So these are all the aggregate methods, okay? It has so basic things are here. skip, and sort. We can implement the same thing using find. Okay, so we can use something like limit, skip, sort command, and other things. Okay, so suppose if you want to explicitly want your aggregate functions to have, okay, you can just have it in this way. You just need to add your properties as an object, one of an array of objects. Okay. Clear? So this is a rough overview of your aggregate. Is this enough? All right. Can everyone confirm? Confirm. So how about the match here? So inside your aggregate, so here if you mention match is going to be displaying user ID equal to 10. Okay, only that particular user will be retrieved. Okay, same way for project. Suppose if you use user ID equal to 1, okay, only user ID column and underscore ID will be coming. Suppose if you don't need underscore ID equal to 0, okay. And if you want to have some alias, for example, for title, okay, if you can mention it this way. So title is displayed as topic, okay. If you mention it in this way, title, your title column will come as topic, okay. So alias thing. So this is something like a alias. Okay, same way for limit. So I need to use limit here and just mention limit equal to 3. Only 3 records will be coming. Same way for skip. So you can use skip here and skip the first record. You can use it in this way. Suppose if you want to for the sort, same thing here. Sort and whatever the property name that we want to mention. For example, user ID, one is going to start by descending. Okay. So this is what we use in your aggregate functions. So I'll just quickly go here. Okay. Yeah. So collectively, do you guys have any questions? So since you requested it, I just made it. And if it is confusing for you, you can just go with your find command directly. Okay. So if it is confusing for you, but in the real time, we will be directly using find. Okay. So when the query becomes complex, we will go with the aggregate. Okay. So if it is a normal query like normal thread operation, we will directly go with your find commands itself. Okay. But if it is like complicated queries, like you need to have it in the something called aggregate. Okay. Clear? Yeah. So there are other properties as well. So sort, skip, and other properties as well. There are something called push, add to set, and there are multiple things. Okay. So this is more than enough. Okay. I thought of skipping aggregate. Okay, because you already learned find conditions and other things. It will be confusing, but still I managed. Since you asked, you told okay. So then I just showed it here. Okay. So please have them thorough. Okay. So these will be your interview questions. Okay. So the only from these topics only your interview questions will be. Okay. Also, our CRUD operations and everything is will be coming from this topic alone. Okay. So please have them thorough. Okay. The next 2 days you have a great amount of time. Please use that time. Okay. And from Monday we will start with Node.js. Okay. Yeah. So I just covered everything here. Group by, match, project, limit, sort, skip. What else? So I will have it in this way, then only you will understand why we used. So group, I'll have count and things here. So a count function is something like this. And the distinct function is going to be something like this. And aggregation group match project limit skip and sort. Yeah. So we are done with this, and I'll share you these things. Hmm. And here is your feedback link. Please upload this. I will share you this thing. Okay. I'm sure this will be your savior in your interview. Okay. So you can just go over this file. Okay. You will understand quickly. You understand the MongoDB. Okay. So Mongo. Yeah. So from Monday, what we'll do is we'll start with Node.js. Okay. So yes. So do you guys have anything for me? If not, we can wind up the session. Clear on the concepts? Alrighty. Okay. So yeah, see you on Monday and have your MongoDB things thorough. Okay. So we'll be using those queries in our Node.js part. Okay. Yeah. Have a great weekend. Yeah. Bye bye.